I move to the questions of MP Sarah Westcott William. Have you taken into account the statements of the chair where it pertains to SZV? I have not heard the statements made by the chair, but based on your, excuse me? I have not heard the statements, but based on your notification, I know where it's leading to. SZV has made many public campaigns. As it pertains to the law, I would oh yes, a public meeting. As it pertains to the law, I was advised that SZV by law is not allowed to insure persons that were not sent by SZV. This was a private obligation by the person. And also SZV had notified me that there were many public campaigns on medical travel insurance each year in the months of April, July, August, December, and January on all social medias, 7 radio stations, 8 in 2023 podcast community events, whereby stating and encouraging persons to get travel insurance as SZV only cover you in St. Martin. I can speak on my personal note. When the post went out of the late gentleman, we were contacted by someone close to the family. We then instructed for the family to contact the cabinet so we can acquire accurate information, but unfortunately the cabinet nor myself was never contacted on the matter. So I can't speak on the chair's opinions, but I can speak on what I have personally know about the matter. When are we going to deal with the SCUMO funds? Well, the SCUMO funds is in the SZV 1B, the reparations law. It's currently at the Council of Advice since August 9th. This would also be related to your questions on the insurance for the sole proprietors. This is also in the SZV 1B, which is at the Council of Advice. So we had already taken this up in the reparations. Can you provide an update on GHI? While it is the intention of my person to have it implemented by January 1st, 2024, it is currently still it has been at the SED for the past month and a half, 2 months. It has been at the SED, so we therefore foresee some delays. However, in the preparatory stage, there are executions being had, which is data collection between census, tax, and SZV. Also procurement measures, new contracts with care providers. Also, SZV is planning the PR and operations rollout to help prepare and move along while we wait on the legislation trajectory. It is listed as put, so we hope that we can have it done. What tax system will SZV apply regarding the retroactive payments of pension while the retroactive payments of pension? Because they remain in a zero tax bracket, the extraordinary tax will not apply. Can you please explain the objective of the STEP survey? Will it produce results? The STEP survey is similar to the How Healthy is St. Martin survey, which was done in 2015. However, as I have visited the members of parliament many times, I have been asked on updated information on the population of St. Martin. It was not able to ever provide updated information and only provide information from 7 or 8 years ago. This is very much necessary to receive this information and help us better with policies and actions as it relates to healthcare moving forward. How quickly can we see actions regarding the program of the non-communicable diseases? The STEP survey is a critical element in a non-communicable disease multi-annual strategic plan, and it helped prioritize and develop relevant prevention programs such as health promotion campaigns, population screening program, guidelines for early detection and management of disease and primary care, include lifestyle counseling and guidelines for management and follow-up of people with NCD by specialized healthcare services. MP George Panaflet had a question based on what the calculation for financial aid is determined, meaning what law is used. Also, MP George Panaflet asked what law substantiates how the time period for decision-making is done. The law you're looking for is the LVO of financial aid and is based on the LBHAM. MP Christophe Emmanuel, how much will be added to the pension? 98 guilders will be added monthly to the maximum pension, taking you from 1240 to 1338, which is based on the CPI second quarter of 2021, which was 2.84%, and the second quarter of 2022, which was 4.91%, equaling 7.75% total. This was then added to the 1240, which gave us 1338. MP Peterson, which version of the proposed law are we handling? The YZWA version. Why is it lit versus underdealing? What you are reading is indeed the correct version, MP. We have taken into account the recommendation of stakeholders related to the question where it pertains to the more technical nature, if unveiling should be called laden. Please note that the draft presented to Parliament have been vetted multiple times by the Department of Legal Affairs and Council of Advice. MP Rayon Peterson, for the Council of Advice, what is the real motivation behind it? The reason for the why is the urgency? The reason for the urgent request is pertaining to the regular legislative trajectory and not wanting to miss any more years moving forward. MP DeWeaver, please explain in layman's terms what is the law that is being changed. This is a minor change indeed, MP. What we are changing is the requirement of the August CPI to what is used now quarterly. But we are specifically changing it to use the quarterly CPI, as this was advised by both the SED and the Council of Advice to use the second quarter as opposed to the third, which will give all stakeholders enough chances to meet the beginning of the year.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? Asset V is cardless. Request your My Asset V account today and enter the virtual office of Asset V. Go to assetv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emma Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road Cahill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
The way forward, one of the pieces of legislation, however, that is not anywhere near completion, which would have been the wish, is the one related to the one that was presented back then on the, what was it called again? The one to regulate the dates in case there is a snap election, because every election is regulated the same way, to eliminate the possibility that anyone would be negatively impacted from taking part in said elections. That amendment carried with it several other amendments that would be more constitutional of nature and is being reviewed at the moment by our legislative lawyer. And once we have a better idea as to what is still possible with that, I will then inform the Parliament and public at large. But at this point, it is not at a stage where we can say it is possible to be completed within a short period of time. Several questions still, of course, are quite alive within the community as to what can be done. And the last time I was here, we'd had some, let's say, sentiments from the public based on a survey that we had done. And those points are still points that we would want to address moving forward. Some may have possibilities to be dealt with, others not in the short term. So far, I must say the majority would require huge legislative changes that would have to go through the full amendment process, some even touching on the Constitution as well. So, some of these topics that were brought to light but are not limited to the following. Many of our people feel that there is a lack of accountability by elected officials, that the lynch law should be eliminated, that we should do more to combat vote buying, and the list goes on to echo the sentiments of frustrated voters. So to combat these issues, my team, which includes the cabinet and some other members, that's with the Department of Legal Affairs and Legislation as well as Civil Registry, to be able to identify items that could be tackled in the short term, short as well as long term. Some of the items mentioned that we would like to say forward in our agenda for discussions within the population as well as within this August body would be improving our measures to eradicate any alleged corrupt practices. So removing the curtains is one, but there are several rules and regulations that are, let's say, governed by lower legislation that we will be looking at, the way in which the voting takes place, etc. So strengthening those measures to ensure that we can have a transparent process, but one that is that eliminates as much as possible the possibility for corrupt practices. Also increasing more vigilance at the voting station, The discussion also came up, which I would love to hear what the Parliament has to say about this in terms of eliminating dummy ballots, which have been used in the past and ended up in the actual counting. So possibly eliminating those and just having the possibility for the parties to use a large document to educate voters, and we as government also, as we go along with this electoral reform educational campaign within the community moving forward, would also spend some time ensuring that voters are well educated as to what a valid vote would be. Because I'm sure several who may have erroneously messed up their votes were not aware that they were doing so. So we feel that education is also part of the trajectory moving forward, ensuring that our population is well aware of the validity of their vote, the strength of their vote, and how to ensure that it counts. I already mentioned the removal of the curtains. Another aspect that is already legislated, but not possible for this year, even though we would have loved for it to have been, is the possibility for electronic voting. That is already legislated. However, there would be a serious investment that would need to be made, training, etc. So that may be something more for the longer term. Another discussion that came up, Mr. Chairman, members of Parliament, was the current 1% needed to be able to sign up a list. I think to also eliminate, let's say, to ensure that we have the support of the population, a good counting of the population, the possibility to increase what you would need to be able to present your list as a list to be voted upon. Currently, it's 1%. I think it would be an interesting discussion to whether increasing that number could make it less watered down, maybe, and ensure that parties who are postulating themselves actually can get the support needed to represent the populace. So eliminating the need to have that need for all of the extra recitals, etc.
And barcoding the ballot. Is there any progress on that? And in the discussions, has it been taken up? Like I've heard some persons suggest that another way of dealing with this matter could be electronic voting. So if the Prime Minister can share her views on that. So what's the status on that proposal? And is it being looked at in the context as well of electronic voting? My question, another question again, to which I received an answer, was the following. Has the government considered any measures towards strengthening the electoral party system, such as every political party having to prove sufficient support for its candidates list, so sort of a pre-election? Secondly, to give more content to the individual candidate's declaration of agreement with the list on which he or she appears in accordance with Article 25 of the Election Ordinance. For example, by adding a covenant that a candidate is aware and in agreement with the main views, directives, and principles of the party, and thereto concurs to participate as a candidate for party X or Y.
I haven't heard any discussions regarding the screening law. Maybe I may have missed it, and I don't know if that was a discussion that the Council of Ministers had, or any other, maybe the Prime Minister's discussion. Is it something that the Ministry is thinking on maintaining, amending, or maybe pulling back? Is that something was that also up for discussion, the screening law? And lastly, let me see. No, there's one more. Regarding, I haven't heard any discussions on that either. I'm hoping I'm mentioning the correct Article 50 regarding a member of Parliament being convicted Right now, there's a loophole in that constitution, in that article that allows certain member of parliament that are convicted to still represent the country. Is that something that we're going to, that we're looking into maintaining, broadening the scope, or maybe just amending it completely, taking it out completely like how Curacao has it? If you are convicted for bribery, you're suspended, but if you're convicted for taxation, you can still represent the country. So what are we doing there? Are we going to allow that? Are we going to fine-tune that law? I think it's Article 50. Am I saying it correct? Article 50. So maybe to look into that article as well. Is that something you are considering looking into amending or perhaps pulling back?
The matter of the lynch law, let me say this publicly, Mr. Chairman, I benefited from the lynch law because, normally I think before that you had number 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know if it was the leader or the party board that decided exactly who was number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 on the list. But the fact of the matter is I was number 11, and because of the lynch law, where out of the entire list, I became the 4th highest votes getter, even though I was number 11 on the list. So that issue of the lynch law should be discussed, and I'm sure you're going to have pros and cons, but of course, let's see how it turns out in the future. The matter of eliminating corruption. Corruption, there's always corruption, no matter where, what part of the world, Mr. Chairman. And I'll challenge anyone to deny such. There's always a corruptor, and I don't know if this word exists, there's also the corruptee. Mr. Chairman, it depends on the behavior of all of us as individuals, politicians, and the public alike, Mr. Chairman. Because nobody knows who you're going to vote when you go behind that curtain, which might be removed soon. But it's up to the individual who has to vote to determine how much their vote is valued to them, Mr. Chairman. Because I'm hearing the same thing over and over again. Mr. Chairman, it's an individual issue.
The lynch law, that is definitely an interesting one. I was speaking to a MP in Aruba, and they right now are looking at or having discussions on the change. So with them, it's the old, so-called old way of voting, where the number, your number on the list is what matters. However, of course, those politicians who are more popular are saying, but I got the popular vote. So how is this democratic, right? And here we hear persons talking about, of course, going back to the old ways. So again, discussions that are probably going to continue to happen. But I think that it's important as a country, as a country, we understand what the core issues are and how to solve them, because it's extremely complex.
You're saying when it comes to the lynch law, I think that that is a matter of opinion. I myself am here because of the lynch law. Thank God for that. And, but you also have other MPs in here, for example, who were, for example, in the top 5. And I remember MP William Allen, after Irma, he decided to go on the bottom of the list, and then he still got elected. So this is something that I think that is very active here in Sumatran when it comes to the current political culture. And it's up for discussion. It's actually a discussion that needs to be had, and everybody can have their opinion on it for their personal reasons. I gave mine just now. But I think that's something to also involve the community, because, it's curious to know how people feel about that. As for the dummy ballots, I had one question, maybe it's a naive one, but what is holding us from, for example, accepting an X marked in front of a candidate as a valid vote? What is stopping us? Because I remember, for example, last election, I specifically had one person in Simpson Bay who voted for me, but because it was an X, it was taken out of the tally. And my question is why? What's the legal basis for not accepting that? Shouldn't we be able to make voting more feasible for the people? That's basically the principle that I was coming with. And also, when it comes to the money that can be given to candidates and or parties, I think that I follow what MP Bryson said when it comes to the landsverordening for the politieke registratie. But in Article 41, indeed, it gives you the limits, but there's a reason for this. The 50,000 guilder max is actually to prevent that one person or one company can influence a party to an extent that is unfair to other donors, for example. We have tendencies here in St. Martin where hotel owners and casino bosses would like to give every candidate $10,000 if they would want to. But then, you know, when after elections, those candidates might have to get a call to do them some favors. That's a reality. That's how it works.
SZB, your social and health insurance is SZB, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SZV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SZV is cardless. Request your My SZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZB, yeah, your social and health insurance is.
With you, the new Kentaco. A combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco. With a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kentaco. Enjoy a double breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kentaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
I'm now about to approve a community drama program. Why? Because this country has lost the art of being able to produce productions at the community level and at the national level. And we're going to go through step by step. Andrew, Winston, we're going to go through step by step to make sure that we create the opportunities not just in our schools, but in our communities, in sports and artistic activities. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't end up doing this for a living, you have an appreciation and a discipline that makes you a stronger, better, more empathetic, more disciplined person. And this is to make you the best that you can be.
I want you to understand that although today is the last day, that this is really the first day, the beginning of your empowerment in relation to community arts and culture and technology. That from here on, the plan is to continue training, to continue the craft, to continue the partnership, that you can take these newfound skills, not just in Barbados from St. Philip to St. Lucie, but right across the world.